Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Throwdown for the week of May 16, 2021. This is Luke the Big Dog Williams. I'm Caleb Black, our in-studio producer, the Mighty Max Fury. And if you've been following along, it is now time for the semi-final and final match of our second bracket in our Intercontinental Championship tournament. The four finalists are Pat Patterson, the Ultimate Warrior, Dolph Ziggler, and Kane. I have Dolph Ziggler. I'm throwing Pat Patterson to the Big Dog. And Big Dog, I am deferring to you. You may start this argument, sir.
All right, let's see here.
Start you right off the 30 seconds.
Pat Patterson won the Intercontinental title for the first time in 1979. It's hard not to retread everything that you said the first time.
Sure.
Pretty much summed it up perfectly.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Pat Patterson, there wouldn't be an Intercontinental Championship.
True.
Pat Patterson as Intercontinental Champion, I don't really know a whole lot about. That was, of course, before the time of pay-per-view and before the time of a lot of film. Pat Patterson, though, I know him as a professional wrestler, and I know that the man was hard-nosed, and he was as good as it gets.
Yep.
Pat Patterson, of course,
carried the untimely
territories
on his back.
Passing, but I mean, created all different kinds of things. Like I said, this is for the Intercontinental title, so there's not a whole lot of argument I can make other than the fact he was the first. Defended it. I'm going to guess he held it for at least a year.
Oh, yeah.
I do know that he had knockdown, drag-out fights with Sergeant Slaughter and Pedro Morales.
Yeah. Time.
Intercontinental Champion, I mean, that's all I can really say about Pat Patterson. Yeah. He only held it once. So, I mean, he held it first, but he only held it once.
Yeah.
You got Ziggler?
Right. I will take Ziggler.
All right, Caleb.
Dolph Ziggler as Intercontinental Champion also elevated other superstars who are currently in the main event and in those title pictures. Big E started off as Dolph Ziggler's lackey and his call-up from FCW, would eventually go on to defeat Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. Drew McIntyre would eventually go on to compete against Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. Dolph Ziggler has defeated again down the roster guys like John Cena, guys like Batista, guys like Edge, guys who have been around in the business and utilize that period of time to become the show-off. There's not a guy who bumps harder. There's not a guy who outperforms anybody better. And again, tomorrow could go on to win the Intercontinental title again and have a reign worth talking about. He transitioned seamlessly from world champion to Intercontinental champion like that after he lost his world title in his first run. And normally when you lose your first run as world champion, you're done.
Yeah.
Not Dolph Ziggler. He picked right back up, got right back into the mix with the best competition the business could offer at the time, and still came out on top as Intercontinental champion. That's all I need.
Yeah.
I had to go with Dolph Ziggler on that one.
Yeah, boy.
Like I said, Pat Patterson, that first round is hard to beat. Second round, it's kind of hard
to... Rest in peace, Pat.
Yeah, for sure.
Rest in power. We love you.
All right, you won that one.
You know what? I will start us off.
All right.
I think,
you got Warrior.
You got the Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior defended the Intercontinental Championship against the likes of Macho Man Randy Savage and Ravishing Rick Rude in numerous contests. In fact, had a pretty decent affair with Macho Man regarding the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship in the WWF, which at that time was absolutely the second-tier championship and absolutely only went to the men who would go on to be main event caliber superstars. Say what you like about the Ultimate Warrior. I have my own personal disagreements with him that everybody knows. But the Ultimate Warrior at that time was the hottest commodity to hold the Intercontinental title and a buffer for Hulk Hogan, the biggest name in professional wrestling, as world champion, while guys like Andre were still in the game, where guys like Ricky Steamboat were still in the game, where guys, like I said before, Macho Man Randy Savage, Rick Rude, Jake the Snake fucking Roberts, the Ultimate Warrior stood above all of them as a multiple-time Intercontinental Championship at a period of time where that belt meant that you were going to be the next guy. That's all the time I need.
That's all your time anyway.
Good.
All right, Luke.
Fuck.
Kane, all right. Let's see here. And Kane, during his Intercontinental title reign, was also one half of the tag team champions with the Hurricane Shane Helms. Probably one of the most entertaining times of Kane's career was while he was Intercontinental champion. You got the personality as the Intercontinental champion. As Intercontinental champion, you got more mic time because if he wasn't the Intercontinental champion, he would not have had the ability to have the on-screen. I'm trying to look for the word for it. The on-screen presence as Intercontinental champion. Without that Intercontinental championship, we would have never got to know that other layer of Kane.
You're right.
As Intercontinental Champion, like I said earlier, he had a huge feud with Triple H that culminated in the Intercontinental and the World title being unified. However, he also beat JBL, who had got the Hardcore and the European title convened to convene all three of those championships under Kane being champion.
True.
Kane is pound for pound one of the heaviest and most well-known Intercontinental champions of all time.
Those are pretty close arguments, but
Valid arguments.
I think I gotta go Kane.
That's fair. That's fair.
I kind of figured.
Yeah.
I kind of figured this is where this was coming.
Yeah.
However, here's the deal. I'm not going to sling shit on Dolph Ziggler.
And nor am I going to sling shit on
Yeah.
Kane.
Because I don't want Kane looking for me.
I'll talk about the strengths of Kane's Intercontinental Championship reigns versus Dolph Ziggler's. Kane, while being more entertaining at that period of time, really does lack the type of fluidity and the type of matchups that Dolph Ziggler was able to offer as Intercontinental Champion. Whereas Kane sort of was stuck in that niche as being the big man, was still during the Attitude Era. So he was still competing to get over with guys like X-Pac, D-Generation X when they were with Triple H, The Rock. Dolph Ziggler, however, used his time as Intercontinental Champion to elevate guys, his peers. He wasn't fighting for the main event. He wasn't fighting from the main event back up. He was fighting up to the main event. And in that regard, I think he's got a more standard run than Kane had, specifically for the fact that Kane had let's say, a failed world title attempt, got kind of dropped down in the mire when it came to the Attitude Era top stars, Stone Cold, The Rock. You name it, not Kane's fault, because Kane, obviously, his longevity has to be taken into consideration. But when you look at the level of competition and competitive matches that were being had, I think Dolph Ziggler had more competitive matches in much more competitive environments than Kane did for the Intercontinental title.
Right. My argument for Kane goes, it's very simple. Dolph Ziggler, like I said, I'm not going to sling shit either way.
Of course not.
Dolph Ziggler, in his time as his runs as Intercontinental Champion, is impressive. However, Kane's run is almost identical in being impressive.
Really? Yeah.
Except when you look at the fact that Dolph Ziggler, while impressive as Intercontinental Champion, had numerous chances to be impressive as Intercontinental Champion. Kane held the Intercontinental title once.
That's fair.
And as only holding it once, being just as impressive as Dolph's run multiple times says a lot. That's no knock on Dolph Ziggler, because the genre in the game is different now. But Dolph Ziggler, while elevating all these people, as Kane as Intercontinental Champion, had to prove that he belonged with the likes of The Rock, with the likes of The Undertaker, Stone Cold, Triple H, because these people you expected to be Intercontinental Champion.
Right.
Kane, you didn't expect to be able to take that title as a catalyst to jump off of that. That's my only argument with the whole situation. Now, like I said, I love Dolph Ziggler as Intercontinental Champion, one of my favorites in the past couple years. Yeah. However, when Kane was Intercontinental Champion, people took to it. People loved it because he proved that he didn't have to be partners with The Undertaker or Kane or a Hurricane to be a credible champion. And his first run as WWE Champion was 24 hours. The Stone Cold won it back.
Right. But that's my argument, too, is that they use that as a transitional point. And really, when you look at Kane's run, there weren't a number of prolific runs against the people he wrestled against.
Right.
And dropping it to Triple H pretty much succinctly ended his reign as Intercontinental Champion.
But when he dropped it, he removed the mask.
Right, and while that's good for his gimmick, not necessarily so good for the belt itself. And I'm talking specifically for the run as Intercontinental Champion.
Right,
afterwards is great, but the Intercontinental title run didn't get him anywhere.
But what I'm saying is, when you look at the title reigns that Kane has had as his entire career,
sure,
the Intercontinental stands out as the best title reign he had.
I disagree with that.
See, I don't. Because
best title reign he had, in my opinion, was his world. That's a different conversation.
Yeah. My point is that...
But on that same argument, the best title reigns that Dolph Ziggler's had has been as Intercontinental Champion.
He's had more of them.
Well, yeah, but still, it's the same argument.
It is, but my point of the Intercontinental title, like I was saying, is he's held it once, and it's still memorable to me.
Yeah.
It's still memorable to people. Yeah. Dolph Ziggler's held it numerous times, and it's still memorable to people, too.
All 18 minutes of it.
Right. He was Intercontinental Champion longer than 18 minutes.
I know, it was 19. All right, Max, we bet
you got, brother. Either way, I'm going to be happy.
And it's really, really hard to pick, but you mentioned something about Kane's being more memorable And I know that Dolph Ziggler was a great champ, but honestly, I don't remember his reigns very well. So I got to go with Kane.
I get that.
That's the
I
wrong
get it.
call.
I mean, do you want to use your veto?
No, I want to save it, but that's the wrong call.
See, I can see it from both.
I am publicly indicating that's the wrong call.
And
It's close. It was close.
I respect that call. I'm not going to use my power
Right,
veto today,
right.
but that's a bad call.
Well, like I said, though, it
I'm
depends
good.
on what you're used to seeing and what you're
Yeah.
not used to
I want to
seeing.
take Justin, but that puts Kane
And
the
the
winner
Rock.
of our second bracket.
And it comes down to Kane and the Rock.
And just in case anybody's following along, numbers that have been picked and gone through
Yeah,
already.
let me preface that real quick. He wrote down the 88 names. We had to remove one for a reason we already
There have been
explained.
88 different champions.
We've got all 88 names, and they go by a numerical assignment. So we have to pick numbers, and those are the numbers. Those are the names we draw at random from
Yeah.
the numbers.
Okay, go ahead next.
So numbers and people that have been picked so far, in case you're following along to try to figure out
Yep.
who's going to be up next. We had number 13, the Mountie. Number 11, Mr. Perfect. 69, Cody Rhodes. 77, KO, Kevin Owens. Number 27, Rocky Maivia. Number 26, Triple H. Number 3 was Pedro Morales. Number 54, Carlito. Then we had number 66, Dolph Ziggler. 65, Drew McIntyre. Number 1, Pat Patterson. 18 was Texas Tornado. Number 33 was The Godfather. Number 44 was Kane. Number 10 was The Ultimate Warrior. And number 22 was Dean Douglas.
Several names.
I just figured out how to figure out this thing.
No, you didn't,
I
because
just,
they're not all in
I
order.
just figured it out.
They're not all in order.
We'll see about that. All right, y'all. You know what to do. Let us know what you think about the Intercontinental Title Tournament. Who do you want to see win? Who do you want to see lose?
Still a lot of names left.
Still, what? We did 16 names today. So 88 minus 16 is 62? 72?
Something like that.
Something in that regard.
A lot of names left.
A lot of names going on. We've still got several weeks of this tournament, so make sure to like, subscribe, leave us a comment down below, send us an email at prowrestlingthrowdown@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at ProWrestlingTD. Find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/ProWrestlingThrowdown. And thanks for tuning in this week. We cannot wait to get more videos cranked out for you guys next week. Can't wait to start introducing some of those skits and stuff we were talking about. So as for myself, for the Mighty Max Fury, and of course Luke the Big Dog Williams, as always, keep it in the ring.